Hello and welcome. It is Thursday, April 10th, and it is actually Global Work from Home Day, which is why Amy and I wanted to come together and really talk about how you can declutter your virtual presence. So, of course, if you're joining us, please share. I'm glad you're here. If you have questions, please pop them in the chat. And if we don't get to them today, we definitely will answer them. So, of course, those of you who may not know me, I am Janet Taylor of Totally Organized, and I love helping people get organized. But today, my guest is Amy Lokken of the Amy Factor. Amy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Janet, thank you for having me, especially on Global Work from Home Day. How appropriate could this be?
Yes, yes. So before we really get started in talking about decluttering our virtual presence, I want people to know about Amy and the Amy Factor because just let you know, she's been giving me some nuggets right in, I guess, our little green or virtual room. So I can't wait for our conversation to start. But share with the people the Amy Factor.
Well, my background in industrial design and industrial psychology, I love to take a unique blend of the two to help empower professionals to master the subconscious perceptions, align with their true internal worth, and fully own the spaces they occupy, both virtually and in person. Because I'm a 100% believer that how we present ourselves to the world is a direct reflection to the belief we have of the talents, the expertise, the knowledge we actually bring to the table.
Hmm. So, with that said, my first question is really can you share what the impact of the clutter, specifically the visual presence?
Yeah, well, we all think of our backgrounds and what our audience is seeing behind us, which is extremely important. Don't get me wrong. Like, please stop with the fake backgrounds. I know they're convenient and they're easy and all of that, but when it comes to that subconscious first impression, that subconscious perception, uh, immediately we are wondering what you're hiding because you are. And secondly, everybody kind of looks like a bad Photoshop job. Just a side note of design. However, when we really want to show up with full, true visual presence, it starts within. So I want you to maybe think a little differently in not solely what's behind you, but what's in your peripheral vision. Like, what are you seeing behind the camera lens that is maybe needing a little tidying up? Like, we all have a behind the scenes. Like,
Mhm.
trust me, I have a few papers and
Yeah.
all of that on my desk, and I'm in the middle of doing some production for a few modular displays and things like that. But the whole point is understand that clutter, you're telling yourself you're okay with that disorganization,
Yeah.
which, let's be honest, I don't know anybody who does really well when things are in total chaos, especially when we're talking about our true value and what we do
Mhm.
bring to the table. So
Mhm.
I always like to flip the script a little bit and get people to understand that what we're seeing beyond what our audience is seeing is equally as important, if not more important, because once we're aligned, then that becomes aligned. And
Mm.
there's nothing more powerful than showing up with true authentic confidence.
Mm. And you're right because I don't think people understand what clutter does to us mentally. It's a distraction. One of the things, the strategies I give people is when you're working on multiple different things, sometimes you need to just have what you're currently working on your desk in your workspace and get everything else to the side so that you can stay focused, you can move forward, you can be more effective and efficient and all of that. But you're right because as I've shared with you, sometimes when I show up for a virtual meeting, sometimes I cannot concentrate on the conversation or the meeting because I am so distracted sometimes by what is in the background. So you are right. And I don't think people realize how much that impacts just not only your, first impressions are lasting,
Hmm.
but also your brand.
Absolutely. Well, because that is your brand. I mean, how you are. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a sole entrepreneur, if you're a manager, if you're a in leadership inside a organization, if you're the CEO. Like we are a form of that brand, and we are that first initial entry oftentimes to that organization or our business, and we are a part of that. Like our brand isn't a logo or a color scheme. It's our essence of who we really are.
And I think it's important specifically today because it's global work from home day. Now we are global. I
Yeah.
mean, before when we were going in the office, we would really kind of interact with people kind of in our region. But now it's different time zones,
Mhm.
different countries, continents. So it's important sometimes when you do want to, I like to say, level up, is really begin to look at everything that is really kind of presenting who you are to the world.
Mhm. Well, and I like to refer to that as self awareness. So
Hmm.
oftentimes people think of self awareness as being very self absorbed type of aspect. And I want to broaden people's idea of what really self awareness means. And it is being aware of your surroundings. So hence the owning the spaces you occupy, both virtually and in person. But especially today, because we have erased those border lines and we are able to have opportunities and conversations on a global scale, is exciting to me. Like I love the fact that I have connections all over the world today, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
able to build these really deep connections. And I believe that we can actually honestly build a little deeper connections sometimes online initially, because we're able to get a little glimpse into each other's world that we
Hmm.
wouldn't normally be able to do at the local coffee shop
Mm.
or sterile conference room. So it is really interesting in those regards. But we do have to understand that that self awareness is being aware of how we're showing up, and the fact that we're showing up for ourselves first and foremost, because that's that inner value. And secondly, we're showing up for the people who we're interacting with.
Mm.
And that's being self aware of your surroundings and the people inside that space, be it in person or virtual, and especially in the virtual world today.
Mm. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, Amy, sometimes because most of us, we are in a small space, and I think sometimes less is more.
Oh, absolutely. But being intentional about what you place in your space. Like, yeah, I'm definitely in probably a very similar square footage as you are. Like, there's only like 5 feet from my camera to my back wall.
Yeah.
But it's understanding and being intentional. And I think that's a really important thing I want to hit home for people, is just be intentional. Like, what is it? Like, just because you're showing up for a virtual meeting, be it with your colleagues or a client or a networking event, like be intentional of what's the meeting for and how are you showing up? And not having to feel like you have to throw everything in the space. Like allow yourself to speak. However, I will say extremely bare walls with absolutely nothing also has that tendency of giving a feeling of temporary
Mm.
to your presence.
Hmm.
So be
Mm,
careful with that. So sometimes if that's what you have, then I don't know, throw a plant in the background. Now make sure it's at a proper alignment with you as far as scale and that, but think with intention. Having a, like I said, can look a little temporary. So what is the presence, the intention that you want to set for that
you
interaction?
know, and that's good. And actually, see, one of the tips I got from you, Hank,
Ah, there you go.
see, I have my little plant here, even though I have lots more. But you're right. And I think it's really because I know your background is like in set design. So
Mhm,
it's almost like now when I do videos, because I'm really trying to capture other areas of my home, not just showing this, it's like, okay, I got to set the design, design the set. What do I need here? How do I make it look livable, but not cluttered?
mhm,
But also convey, who I am. And it might have just like something in the background. I may have a quote in the background or something that kind of just lets people know, oh, yeah, that's Janet, the organizer.
mhm.
So you're right. And it's just being intentional. Wonderful
Yes,
word.
absolutely. And going back to that clutter and the fact that when you're on and you're seeing somebody in a very cluttered space behind them, flip the script and understand that when the clutter is in front of you and behind your setup, you become distracted. And sure, we all have a little bit of that whoop, squirrel, oh, shiny object. Like, let's be honest, we're human. So when we allow our space to have that organization to it, changes our energy and changes our focus. The other aspect to that is we want to understand that it can also ignite our energy as well as, dim it down.
And you're right. And as we were talking, I was thinking, Amy, right before we got on this, my desk was like, this project was here and this project was there. And I was like, I've got to clear everything up so I can stay focused on my conversation with Amy. So you are right. You just got to, because sometimes that can be a distraction as well from you even interacting with the person that you need to speak to.
Absolutely. Well, we all have 24 hours in a day, and
Yeah.
it's really about how we choose
Mhm.
to use each of those seconds.
Mhm. So, Amy, are there like maybe some nuggets, maybe a few nuggets you can give us just to kind of help us, clear the clutter?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things that whether I'm doing a master class or I'm working with an organization, I encourage everyone, or even just a one-on-one, I encourage everyone to take a screenshot. So a really simple thing that everybody can do like right now is actually take a screenshot of themselves on camera. And I don't want you to, print yourself or anything. I just want you to like take a screenshot and just be fully honest with where you are today. And then the next step is you're going to print that out because it's different looking at it as a printout versus just on our screen. And evaluate that. Is this the intention and the subconscious perception that you intended to have? And if not, then well, reach out. I'm happy to do a discovery and have those conversations. But it is really about like taking a look because it's going to give you the viewpoint of your audience. So what do you like and what don't you like? Understand that, and that's the best, honestly, the best way to do it is a simple screenshot. If you can't print it out, then take the screenshot and then look at it later with like at best, a second and a half. Because today we have an attention span of, I swear, a fruit fly. And back in 2015, I think we had an attention span. I think the research was 8 seconds, which was actually 1 second less than a goldfish. So here we are at 2025. So you can do the math and think about where we might be. The other thing is set a timer. So set a timer for like 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes if you are feeling like, ooh, Amy might be right. Like, I'm a little anxious and I'm distracted because I'm seeing this pile of XYZ over there. Or behind me, behind my computer is actually, undone laundry on the bed because I'm working in, the desk room or whatever. Take 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and take care of what it is that you're seeing. Even if it means that you place it under your desk so it's out of your eyesight. But I will tell you, subconsciously, it's still in your mind. Like, your mind knows it's still there. But at least it won't be immediately in your line of sight.
Yeah.
So and you would be amazed what you can do with 5 minutes. And oftentimes we all have that closet or that drawer that may be our collecting space. I certainly know I do, because I don't like to see a lot of stuff. Now, that becomes overwhelming at times. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Take care of that. Because again, it is in the back of our subconscious, and it's going to be translated to the subconscious perception people have of us. And I think my another really great tip, since it's global work from home, so that means we're all maybe at home, is if you're not feeling like your best self, I challenge you to walk into your closet. And I know we all have that jacket, that outfit, that dress, that suit, whatever it is that you feel really good and powerful in. I want you to change your clothes. Put that on. Maybe it's a pair of heels that we don't wear anymore because, well, they hurt even more today than they did 5 years ago when I wore them on a daily. So maybe it's just replacing that pile of whatever needs to be that's distracting you. Place those shoes there. Place the handbag, whatever it is. Select something that ignites you inside to be your best self.
I liked it. And as you were talking, Amy, I remember one time I just decided to just clear my desk off and just give it a good clean.
Oh, yeah.
And once I did that, I realized I don't need all this other stuff on here. So I only have a few things. I have the plant, and I have a few other little things like my water and thing, but other stuff, it was gone. And I love it. And it's like when I come into work, I see a clear space and I feel more focused. But I do have a question for you. In the visual world we are in, the virtual world, I should say also, are there spaces you feel that maybe should not be our background? And the reason I say that is because, and I know people, unfortunately, sometimes they just don't have any choice. But I see a lot of people in the bedroom. To me, that's a very sacred space, but I just wanted your expert opinion on that.
Well, I like to refer to the bed in the background. I mean, we've all seen the Wilson and all those. I have like 8 different how not to show up type of thing. But you're referring to what I refer to as the OnlyFans account.
Oh,
Okay, and if you don't know what that is, you can Google it.
yeah, I
But
know. Yeah.
if you have a bed in your background, and I get it, like a majority of us who work from home or do on a consistent basis are probably in a bedroom of some sort. And if it hasn't been 100% converted to an office, like even our guest room has a office in it with a full queen size bed. The thing is, there is always, always, always a way to not have that be seen. And it's a simple thing of turning around. Okay, so if it means that how long are you going to be on that meeting or that webinar or whatever? Most meetings are somewhere between a 30, 40 to a 60-minute. Turn it around. Just turn around. Find a corner. For instance, there's a corner here. I can adjust my, space. Like also am very intentional with that. But please, like, you wouldn't be, well, unless the OnlyFans account issue, but let's be realistic about how we're showing up in the message that's sending, because if you're going to tell me that you're have a great attention to detail, well, that didn't tell my subconscious that. So my subconscious made a different perception of that. Like, it's those little details of simply just turning slightly. It could be completely around. It could be makeshifting a office inside the closet. Like, trust me, I've done this for clients. We've
Mm.
actually created an entire closet with their back inside the back wall of the closet. Like, it can happen. There's ways to be done if you are willing to explore the options and put in a little bit of effort.
And you're right, because one time I did do a video and it was because I loved the lamp that was in my bedroom. So
Mhm.
I kind of, I was actually squeezed in a corner, but I did it because I'm like, look, no, that's no, so you're just going to see me, the plant in the background, and the lamp, and that's it. And I did my video and I was fine. So thank you so much for sharing that. So, Amy, first of all, I enjoy always talking to you. And for those of you who joined us or maybe watching this later, let us know what you thought of this conversation. If you have a question, or if you just want more content like this, let us know. But Amy, I want to know, how can people connect with you and really learn more about the Amy Factor? Because see, I'm excited about the Amy Factor because I could talk about the Amy Factor all day long, but I'll let Amy do that.
Well, Jan, thank you. Honestly, LinkedIn's a great place to direct message me, connect with me, send me a invite to connect. Honestly, the first step into the Amy Factor is actually a simple conversation. No strings attached. I am just uberly passionate about getting people to show up as their best self, because there's nothing more empowering than when you feel good about yourself in the spaces you occupy. Everything changes. And visual presence isn't a luxury. It's a game changer when you have when you're fully aligned. Like, it really is. It can be an ultimate game changer. And it's not too late. Like, yep, we've been doing this for a good 5 years, and some of us have been doing this for a very long time. However, be the exception and reach out. And even if you're okay with, following, the leader and being, kind of in the background, that's great. I just want you to know there's ways of, in your words, up leveling and arising to the occasion, and really allowing yourself to shine and your true value to be seen in a tenth of a second without saying a word, because that's where the subconscious perception, even though we may not realize it's happening, is ultimately making the conscious decisions in the end. So DM me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to have a discovery call.
And of course, those of you who follow me, or maybe you don't, you can also connect with me here on LinkedIn, but also you can DM me as well. And I just like to close and let people know that clutter is actually a delayed decision. So when we delay making decisions about stuff, that's how stuff gets piled. That's how stuff just doesn't happen behind us, in front of us, and we are just overwhelmed by the visual clutter. So I do hope you have enjoyed this little kind of noontime treat for you. And just, until next time, like I always like to say, is just have a clutter free day. And Amy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Janet. It's been wonderful. I always love talking to you.
Same here.